Hello there, and welcome to The Bridge Coaching. My name is Emmy Peterson, and I've been working as a career and transition coach since 2013. And today I wanted to answer a very common question that I've seen pop up on LinkedIn, in the media, and even some people here in the community have asked a little bit about my thoughts on it. So I thought I'd share that with you today and answer, what is the Great Resignation? Now, you may have heard about this concept. You might have seen some articles online. It's a commonly discussed topic on LinkedIn at the moment as I filmed this in November 2021. But the Great Resignation is essentially simply that many people are re-evaluating their career. So 2020 and 2021 has greatly disrupted how we work, where we work. If you're anything like me, I've worked from home for the better part of the last 2 years. And even though I like it sometimes, it has certainly changed the way we think about work, and most of us are actually able to work remotely now when we weren't able to before. But what this has spurred on with the pandemic and other things is that Microsoft came out with a survey earlier this year in 2021 that said over 40% of the global workforce is considering leaving their employer this year, so 2021. And the interesting thing about that is that actually a pretty huge number when you look at the global population, and 40% of the workforce, so people of working age, are seriously considering leaving their employer. Now, this obviously means that a lot of people are considering leaving where they are, and some people may have a plan of where they're going next, and a lot of people don't. So I wanted to address this because for me, it's not necessarily about the Great Resignation, like I've had it, I'm going to quit, off I go. I think for most people out there, and maybe for you watching this right now, it's about reevaluating what's important in your life. And I think this stat from Microsoft is really interesting. There's been other surveys and studies done in a similar way in specific countries, and there's sort of some numbers in some countries are much higher than the 40%, which means that we have an even bigger problem that all these people might be leaving their jobs, and are they clear on where they're going to instead? Or are they just quitting because they're fed up after the pandemic and being locked up at home in a situation that they didn't ask to be put in? So there are a couple of things that I wanted to share with you quickly in this video. It's something I can talk about for a long time, but I think when it comes to the Great Resignation or the Great Re-evaluation, is that flexibility is becoming a lot more important for people. So the ability, many of my clients that I've spoken to would love to have the ability to work sometimes from home and sometimes in the office. Some people love working from home 100% because they can be more effective with their family life and picking up and dropping off from school or daycare and things like that. But the power of flexibility is something that has been proven, I guess, this year, that an awful lot of professions, obviously not everyone's profession, can be done from almost anywhere with an internet connection. And it's been a bit of a revolution for some companies who took a long time to acknowledge that people can work from anywhere and be very productive from anywhere. So flexibility is becoming a lot more important, and it's something that people are starting to negotiate even within their existing roles. And another trend that I've seen really strongly in a lot of the people that come to me and want to talk about career change is that they want to reconnect with the impact that they were hoping to make. I've had many clients say, when I was a kid, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, or the purpose that the purpose and the legacy that I want to foster and leave in this world. This is my thoughts around this, And I think this is a great time. We need triggers through our lives to re-evaluate what we're doing, how it's working for us. Is that where our time and energy is best spent? Or are there other times that you'd rather be doing? For most people who believe that if you only live once, how would you like to spend that life? And how much of that working life or how much energy have you got left to contribute towards something? So for me, it's not so much about, the Great Resignation, even though the stats from Microsoft and other similar surveys are really interesting. It's showing us that people want to change things up. And the final point that I want to make is that if you are thinking about making a transition and you might not be really clear on where you'd like to go instead, you might have a clear path ahead of you already. Good for you. You probably don't need my support. But if you're one of the many people who don't really know what that looks like, make sure that you do go through your reevaluating or repositioning in a responsible way. And what I mean by that is, yes, there is a time and a place to leave a toxic place. For most people that I work with, it's not that their work is in any way harmful for them, but it's not making them happy. So long term, it can be dangerous to be in a place that's not making you happy. So a responsible transition is basically like working with someone like myself through a proven process to take you from confusion and overwhelm to a clear career path for you. So be responsible about it. Obviously, if something is very toxic and very draining on you, make sure that you do leave so that you don't get burnt out, etc. But we do all have responsibilities, financial obligations, and other things that we need to consider before we follow the Great Resignation and just shut that door. And I do want to mention as well, I do have a masterclass coming up this week actually, and it is on the 30th of November in the evening at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's a half-hour masterclass, and what we're going to do is, rather than giving you action-packed tips on what you should be doing over the break, it's I'm going to give you 3 really simple tools or 3 really simple questions that you can have in the back of your mind as you go into your holiday break, if you get one, or even if you're not getting a break, something you can reflect on in the back of your mind to position yourself for career transition and change in 2022. I would love for you to register for the masterclass. It is totally free, and I will leave the link down below for you so that you can join us on the call. I'd love to see as many as possible of you on the call. And I'd also love for you to share it with someone. If you have a friend or a colleague or a family member who really needs some career support and inspiration and just not ready to take action, but wanting to come along, do some simple exercises, as we work through the masterclass, and have that in the back of your mind for your break, then please share it with someone who needs it. And finally, if you have any questions that you'd like me to cover in these videos or future videos, feel free to send me through an email to hello@thebridgecoaching.com.au. I hope you have a great week wherever you are, and I look forward to see as many as possible on the masterclass. Thanks again.